Hello, everyone. My name is Fatma, and I'll be presenting some more results from the ITCH Knowledge, Attitudes, and Practices Survey. Dr. Andrew Lover touched upon it in his presentation. We'll be going a little bit deeper into some other results we looked at. And I want to start off by acknowledging the folks in the room that created the survey and drove kind of recruitment and thus the results I'm showing you here. So briefly, to overview what I'm going to talk about, we're going to talk about some general characteristics of the participants in the survey, moving on into the prevalence of household level vector control interventions, and then looking at a model to predict any household level vector control based on state, yard size, and yard type, and then any next steps for analyses. So looking at yard sizes across the region, looking at by state, we'll see here that at least for the southern states, you'll see a lot of participants, having up to an acre or 1 to 3 acres. And moving up north, you'll see more participants will have more than 5 acres, which is not surprising, as many of you have said today, but it does kind of quantify, puts it on paper, these differences in the yard sizes. And then looking at yard type, most of the participants, as you can see, answered based on this picture right here, hey, does your property yard type fit into A, B, C, or D? Thinking Dr. Connolly, Dr. Mather, and kind of broadly classifying that, most of them fit into A and C here. And again, it kind of shows, who's responding to the survey and helps us quantify what the yard types look like and able to inform like policy or any vector control programs by looking at any levels of concerns. And attaching it to that as well. Looking at some prevalence of the household level vector control interventions from the survey, we'll see it's important to note here that in 2023 and 2024, the question was changed a little bit. So in 2023, it was asked, hey, did you use any vector control for ticks or mosquitoes? And then in 2024, it was kind of split up as depicted here. Something to note here for commercial pesticide application, there is a little bit of a jump between 2023 and 2024, which is expected as labs were recruiting participants who had treatments on their properties. And then it was surprising to see so many more people reporting to use tick tubes, 10 and 11%. So that might actually just be representative of who's taking the survey and responding. And this is a multivariable model looking at any household level vector control, yes or no, adjusting for household income and for a survey year across states, yard size, and yard types. So we'll see across states, Vermont and Maine properties are actually less likely to use vector control than Rhode Island as the reference group here. Yard sizes, those with a greater than 5 acres are less likely to use vector control, household level vector control than properties with up to an acre. And then yard types, those who are in B and D are less likely to use vector control than yard type A as reference group. And so for next steps for further analyses, we're going to look at levels of concern about risk for uptick or mosquito-borne diseases with residential vector control interventions, one being yes, no, the other being lowest, medium, highest total vector control. And then also looking at property characteristics like geographic region and neighborhood classification, urban versus suburban versus rural, on those outcomes as well. Also looking at willingness to pay and then sub-analyses of each state.